It's Jessica. Okay. All right. I think we may all be back, actually. I've got 10 participants. Chandler's not here because she's in white. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're all here. Hi, how are you? Good? Okay. So I went ahead while we were on our grocery store trip. I set up a discussion board for people to share their collages. Um, it's under the same module as the collage PowerPoint, and it's the discussion board is collage pieces finished or in progress. And I see Gabrielle's already put up one image.
Yeah, I just did one of all of them. I didn't know if I could do like multiples or what, so I just did a less detailed overview.
Yeah, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. I think it's like however you want to do it. I mean, I agree. I kind of heard what Lori was saying. Like when I had my camera off, like I agree. It's really the best part about doing this is kind of giving a group of people a set of instructions and sort of seeing all the different ways that they approach it. And what I particularly like about this assignment is that it is everybody's working with like really kind of like the same sort of limited materials, and yet there's like infinite possibilities. So it's really wonderful in that way. I'm trying to see here. Oh yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. Awesome. So yours are kind of big. I like that you've got your foot in the image because that's like gives us a sense of scale. Yeah. Like we don't
love those.
Yeah, we don't really know if they're like this big or like the size of the wall.
Yeah, I did. I have them right here, actually. I did really like 3 really large ones, and then one that's still rather big, and then some little babies. I couldn't stop once I got started.
Yeah.
It was hard to stop and just see like, you've run out of paper.
You can always make more. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I would just invite everybody at your earliest convenience just to, take a photograph. You can do like Gabrielle did and just take a photograph of all of them, or you can shoot them individually, however you want to, and just post them just so we can see. I think that that's always really nice. And that's something I've been missing a lot in the world of online teaching is getting to see other people's finished of course, seeing artwork physically in person is one thing. Seeing it on a computer is something else entirely. Better than nothing. But also I think being in the same space while people are working and getting to see something as it gets made. I've also been missing that. So we can't really be doing that right now, but what we can do is check in with each other once things are in some kind of state of completion. And, I labeled the discussion board, finished or in progress. And so if you're not exactly happy with them at this point, like again, consider that they might just end up be sort of raw material for something that comes next. Yeah. So grocery stores, how was it?
It was awkward.
Okay.
Because it's early in the morning, and I was at Ingles, and they're like super, just everything is straight and clean, and I was one of the only people there. And so you had everyone who was stocking from other businesses, they were stocking stuff, and you had all the managers out on the floor making sure everything was ready for the day. And so I didn't have a buggy. I just had my sketchbook and my camera, and I felt like a secret shopper. Like they thought I was writing down like what was wrong and what they were doing right, because they all kept like, what is she doing?
Totally.
So it was really awkward, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, totally. Anybody else have kind of a similar experience? Hey, Anna, what you got?
I had fun. So I actually talked to the manager when I went in to let her know, like, I'm not being weird. It's an assignment. But I found that as I was walking around, I don't know if she radioed everybody and let them know, but the the employees kept like cruising by to see what I was doing. And some of them would stand there and just like look, and that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I mean. It's not every day in the grocery store that, you know, somebody comes in being like, I'm just here to do an art project, you know, I'm not going to touch anything. I'm not going to spell out something funky with vegetables, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody run into any problems? Anyone have to talk themselves out of getting booked or anything like that? Okay. I am curious. What are some of the things that you noticed or saw? I would love just if anybody wants to like share any kind of like of their favorite items from their list. I would love to kind of like hear about those or see those. If you have a photograph on your phone, maybe what you could do is you could hold it up to your screen. If you're zooming from your phone, maybe what you could do is you could just share your screen. I'm not sure how the sharing can go. I think we can just sort of take turns. But does anybody want to volunteer? Okay, what you got, Jessica?
So I just noticed that pretty much everything I got, well, I went to Sprouts, and so I mean, I love Sprouts. I go there like every week, and so they know me, I think was helpful, because I'm always there, and I had my little buggy, and I like I bought sushi at the end. But anyway, so I like, you know, I mean, because I spent over an hour like wandering around the store. Everything I took pictures of is like culturally a design, which I thought really was interesting. I mean, I love intercultural stuff.
Okay.
So like, I'm gonna try to show you. I had a lot of like text from different countries. So like that.
Oh, cool.
It's like Hindi.
I'm gonna pin your video so you get bigger. There you go.
Like that.
Okay.
And then I got like I love these like wispy kind of designs.
Yes.
I love that kind of stuff. I found something like super interesting that I did not know. See, this is another like it's very cultural design.
Yeah.
But something that I found that was like super crazy was and it took me off guard. So look at this tea. Like this is a very common tea. Look at what's in the design.
Looks like flowers, leaves. Oh, there's people. They're figures.
There's people. I was like in shock. I was like, this is so weird. They're like these thin, wispy people. And I'm just like, I mean, I've always looked at this tea and been like, wow, that looks so healthy. I should. And then I realized I was like, I think it has to do with the people that are like flowing in and out through it. And I just thought that was really crazy.
Yeah, kind of in these like almost like these ballet or dancer positions.
Yes. I was like, that's why. I was really fascinated by textures of like fruits and stuff. So like I just never, I'm allergic to cantaloupe, and so I never look at cantaloupe. I don't care about cantaloupe.
Sure.
But I looked at it this time and I was like, whoa. But it like I just thought this was beautiful.
Yeah, totally.
Just that texture.
Yeah.
And then like I'm trying to see if something else. I was fascinated by this design. This like really brought me in, and I like just the circles and like the enlightened, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it makes me want to like eat that. I was just like really looking at it from a marketing perspective, but also just like I chose a lot of similar colors, like lots of purples, and I don't drink wine, but I can't, unfortunately, but like I just loved, so I never go through the wine section. So this time I did though, because there's like all these really cool designs like that I just thought was really beautiful.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
Anyway, I don't want to take anybody's time.
No, that's awesome. Thank you.
So.
Yeah. what I really like about the people like inside the tea is that, you know, of course, like that is a pattern that they've made, but they've found a way to kind of like include this element that doesn't immediately reveal itself. It's like you have to be kind of looking at it for a little while before you actually see this thing that's there. I mean, like, that's absolutely, I think, something that you could incorporate. Like, once you start to make your own pattern, it's just like, okay, well, what do I want to include, and how can I manipulate it so that it may not be readily visible? It's like, it's a kind of use of, it's a technique of visual design that you could actually just directly steal with, like all great artists, you know? I mean, and you don't have to put in people, but I think you could kind of decide, like, I want to put something in there that actually functions like a decorative element, but upon closer examination reveals itself to be like, to have some kind of content. Like, that's real. That's pretty awesome.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Good. Write that down. Take that to the bank. Thank you.
That's gold. I mean, that's worth a trip to the grocery store alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? What else we got?
I could share. One thing that I noticed with the things that started catching my eyes, they were all hanging.
Oh, they were okay. The things that kind of hang in front of the aisles. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the shapes that it created
Yeah.
because it was hanging. Those are dinosaurs.
That looks like a bunch of grapes, but it's like a bunch of scrub brushes. Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to see. Also, like noticing things that are there and I never noticed. Like, apparently all the aisles are numbered and I never saw it in 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I like the hanging things, because those actually do. It's that repetition of form. When you kind of put it in the middle of the air and put the forces of gravity on it, it's like they become like these really beautiful shapes. Awesome, cool. Okay, anybody else? Carol, what you got?
I really like the twist tie. You see that?
I'm gonna make you bigger. Are those twisty ties?
Yes,
Okay, but by the produce.
yes. So I don't know. I just like the way it was kind of flowy.
Yeah, totally.
Also, the beer and wine aisle was crazy with all the stories that all the bottles had.
For sure.
And one of my favorites is this guy where the eyes is the little handle of the. I don't know. I just really liked him.
It's kind of gruesome to think about that, you know.
I know. Like,
Yeah.
And one weird thing I noticed was that every aisle, it was really crowded at the store I went to. And so, like, it was like I was following these people around. So, very unnerving.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Okay. Awesome. You didn't get any like flack back from following people, did you?
No,
That's good.
kind of tried to go the other way. And I did have a cart with things in it. So,
Okay, there we go. Yeah. Good camouflage.
yeah.
Yeah. I guess actually that probably does make more sense, like, you know, to sort of at least give the appearance that you're there to shop. I mean, if you're walking around just with a camera, then you do kind of maybe stand out as like an interloper. Alice, what you got?
All right, something that was unexpected. I don't know if you can see it. So I found these little, I don't even know what it is exactly, but over in the orange juice aisle and stuff.
Yeah.
And so then I zoomed in on the labels, because the labels had these really neat, intricate, busy detail work in it. But then as I took another one, there's words in it too.
Yeah.
And I love finding like the words of like peace or kind or hope or whatever. And so that was kind of neat. That was an unexpected thing too. There's light, I think, in this one.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
that was a fun little unexpected thing.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. It's exciting. Yeah. So, I mean, like, again, like that, it's like sometimes I mean, it's like these sort of like visual, I guess like research trips. It's just like that, you know, one thing that may come out of them being like, oh, here's a shape that's really interesting and I can use that shape. But another thing that can come out of it is like, oh, here's a designer that put these things together in this interesting way. And I want to use that way of putting things together, but I want to do it with different things. So it's like you end up kind of like seeing someone else's strategy. I mean, you're looking at what their strategy has yielded, but it's more about the strategy than the product. And like, I mean, you got to think about like the people who are designing and marketing like food packaging and like grocery store aesthetics. I mean, like they know what they're doing, you know, they have to know what they're doing. So it's like, I actually think that these people are very, very good visual thinkers, and like we can learn a lot from them as artists. And I don't know, I love to kind of look to the worlds of design for all kinds of visual strategies, because those people really know what they're doing, you know, for sure. Yeah. Awesome. Anybody else? Isaac, what you got? Oh, you can't talk? It's not working? It's like the texture of waffles, and those look like wafer cookies. Oh, the pig. Oh, what is it? Is that like like drinking straws? Do you want to type in the chat? Oh, cool. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about that. So it's almost like you were like using the camera to like distort like what you were seeing, which is another way of kind of using that tool. You know, one thing when you're holding the camera up to the screen like this, like one thing that it's actually making me realize is that like it's kind of like the Finder. You know, basically, like, I mean, the camera is kind of like its own finder. Oh, that's my dog, by the way, on my phone case. But the camera is like its own finder, and so it's like you can sort of use it to capture the whole shape of something, or you can zoom way in to actually like isolate one area of it, or like you've been doing, like you can by manipulating the camera, you can actually abstract it or do all of those things at the same time. So that's like a really cool element to use, and that's something that you could carry forward into your own piece. I think, Shannon, did you have?
Yeah, I can try. I've got my photos up. I just clicked that button that says share screen. I've never done that before.
Oh yeah, you want to do that?
I can try. Let me try that.
Okay.
So, oh, you've disabled screen sharing?
Oh, have I? Okay, let's see here. Okay, multiple participants can share simultaneously. Okay, how about that?
Let's see. I'll try it. What do you see?
Right now, I just see you.
Okay, desktop. Let me try that.
Okay.
Let's see.
There we go.
Okay. Oh, I love these. These are so cool. I love what you did with the paint. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me minimize that. Okay. So I'm going to move it over a little bit. I love fruit. I look at value, like with the fruits and vegetables, just the value and the texture. I really like, there was a pineapple that I meant to go back and take a picture of and I didn't, but just tone on tone, like with the vegetables and the watermelon and the texture of the kale. And then I like looking for like the tone on tone, like in the bubbly water. Looking at, my favorite combo is the orange and blue. So the blue and the orange and red. And I also am interested in, so what surprised me was there's a lot of black background right now, like this Taco Bell. And I had some pictures of some other ones. And so I'm kind of fascinated with how some marketing, they will go to like super stripped down, simple, like this boxed water or Epic. It's Epic. It's in the middle of all these colored chips.
Totally.
So how that stands out, like the neutral stands out. And I was kind of thinking about that with the collage. I wish I would have done more neutrals. I wish I had more black and white and gray to cut up because I really like that. And then also just looking at little things that surprised me, like the thumbprint right here for the bold, the Evolve that was backwards. I think that's hidden behind the screens over here, like here. There's another one that was black. This one's a Kroger brand. I thought that was really cute.
Yeah.
And then like this, when you look at like telling a story, this was the organic loves to try to tell stories, like the milk with grass fed, and there was another milk where the woman has her son, like, you're a bad mother if you don't serve him. This one, like, you're a bad mother if you don't give them organic, expensive, and that play, always makes it. So yeah, mostly like bold color, lots of value scale, lots of complementary colors, trying to see how to play with neutrals, and then the pattern and texture in the fruits. And I like we do a logo design with my 8th graders. They have to choose a candy wrapper after Halloween, and they use a viewfinder to enlarge it and really getting them to focus on font, like really focusing on font. So I naturally look at that. So I was trying to force myself to look more at colors and value and texture and getting away from just looking at the font,
So this is somewhat familiar territory to you, like kind of like looking at something that is maybe like produced for marketing purposes and asking yourself, like, why is this designed the way that it is?
Well, I was married to a graphic designer for 15 years.
There we go.
And then just having all the food allergies, we're constantly looking at labels.
Sure. Well, gosh, yeah.
And I'm always looking for my section is the organic section and the gluten-free section, and then I'm always, if something's new, like I look for like, new package, I look for new things, products. So I was trying to force myself to get away from just looking for a new product, looking at font, and just break it down more to value, texture, and something like the E backwards or the thumbprint, something like that.
Yeah. Have you ever been to a Publix?
Yeah.
You're probably familiar with those, like the Publix brand, like canned goods or whatever. Like they will, like the Publix brand, like green beans, they kind of use like an all white label, and then they have a very small picture of like the vegetable, like in the middle.
It's very simple. It's that cream colored background for everything.
It is, and it also, I find that it jumps right off the shelf, like in the middle.
It does.
In the middle of all that kind of visual chaos, and sort of like all these kind of like designed voices kind of vying for your attention, the neutral or sort of the minimal like really does stand out, which again is like,
this one, just the Epic just instantly grabbed my attention on that aisle. That's just a sea of chips and explosions of things. And
yeah, totally.
I think that is a really interesting way, like the water bottle, to stand out, totally remove all color and stuff. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's pretty interesting. I mean, again, that's like a visual strategy, and that I know I remember being really impressed with that Publix design because I was
Mhm.
thinking to myself, oh, the design itself is really simple, but they're obviously thinking about this product on the shelf in the context of all these other things, and they're wanting to distinguish themselves in this way. So they used like one of the oldest tricks in the books, which is to like really quiet it down, you know. But it works. It's totally
Absolutely. Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so what I want to do tomorrow, when we get together, the first thing I'm going to do is demonstrate how to carve a rubber stamp. And then you guys are going to spend a portion of tomorrow's class actually carving your rubber stamp. So that's going to be the main activity for tomorrow. So between now and tomorrow, what I'd like for you to do is spend some time with your list and actually ask yourself, you know, what are the elements from this that I want to translate into like a rubber stamp? And so I think the best way to go about that is to kind of like we're just doing just now, is like look at all the things that you wrote down, all the photos, look for trends, look for things that your eye kind of went to more than once. Like I was drawn to geometric shapes, I was drawn to these colors, etc. When we're planning the stamp, I think you probably want to focus on shape because we're going to sort of introduce color into the equation later once we actually mix our acrylic paints and make them into inks. So right now we're just kind of focusing on shape, but you can also focus on like language, typography. I mean, letters are of course shapes. And I would encourage you to maybe do some contour drawings of the things that you noticed. Lay your finder on top of the contour drawing and actually maybe you do a contour drawing of like an image from a product, but then maybe you actually isolate only a part of it and that ends up becoming one of the shapes that you use. Patterns they can be abstract. They can be, oh, hang on a second. I'm getting a message from Jackie here.
I had sent her a text because I had been kicked out for like y'all's whole discussion, and I was in that waiting room,
Okay.
and I didn't know how to get in touch with anybody but
Okay.
her.
I'm going to spend some time on this later today. I wonder if there's a way to take this feature off where I have to approve you. I'm sure Zoom has put that in place to counter this terrible trend of Zoom bombers that started once everybody went on Zoom, which is awful. But the fact that I'm not putting the password links on like Twitter or anything like that. I'm emailing them to you directly. So I feel like we don't really need that extra layer of precaution. And this keeps being an issue. So let me actually see if I can find a way to take that out. So if you put in the password, you're just here. So I'm going to stay on Zoom a little bit after class today and try and figure that out. So I apologize.
No, it's fine. I hate that I missed but I'm going to go back and watch it.
Yeah, that's right. We are recording. So there's that. Yeah, it's kind of like I feel it's a little bit like a hydra, you know. I feel like teaching online, like every time you kind of cut off one animal, like one problem, like two more sprout in its place. So I feel like we've effectively dealt with Zoom bombers, but now people can't get into their class, you know. So anyway, like I was saying, spend some time with your list and just kind of, you know, play with it. Look for trends, make drawings of things, make blind contour drawings of those things, use the finder to actually isolate individual areas of that list. And just, you know, you can certainly pull up a photograph of like a pickle that you thought was a really cool shape and you can make that into a stamp, and that's fine. Or you can pull up several photographs that you took of multiple things, ask yourself what they have in common, make abstract drawings based on that, turn those upside down, look at them through a finder, draw them again, enlarge them. You know, so you can kind of manipulate this material a little bit. And just play with it. You don't necessarily have to have like a bunch of finished stamp-ready drawings by tomorrow morning. I just want you to kind of like go back and forth with this material in your sketchbooks and kind of manipulate it a little bit. And you can use it and you can do that using the techniques that we've already used, where it's like, you know, you kind of make drawings of things and then look at it through a finder just to kind of get some distance from it. For tomorrow, you'll need your stamp rubber, your carving rubber, and I've got mine Where's mine? Let me grab mine. So mine is pink. I'm not sure. What kind did you guys get? Was yours pink or blue or white? The Moo carve. Excellent, excellent. Okay. I will do a few small ones just to kind of demo the process and just talk about some best practices. And then we'll come back to, and then we'll sort of break up and kind of be doing them on our own. But I would love to just like, the stamp carving can actually happen pretty quickly, and I would love to kind of do some test stamps and share them online so we can really see like how people are different, how people are using it. There's 1,000,001 different ways to work with this material, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. So you'll need your stamp rubber, you'll need a sketchbook and pencil or pen, something to draw with. You'll need your linoleum carving handle and the blade. And if you have an X-Acto knife or a box cutter or something around, it's really helpful to use that to actually cut this down into smaller pieces. And it cuts like butter. But if you're using an X-Acto knife or a box cutter, you're probably also going to want a cutting mat or something underneath so you're not cutting on your table. And in a pinch, if I don't have a cutting mat, I actually just use a cardboard box. Maybe even something that I take out of the recycling, just to kind of put down between myself and my work and my table. So that's what we'll need for tomorrow. And I think that's it. I think that's kind of going to be all for today. I'm just going to encourage you to sort of spend a little bit of time with these things and manipulate them. And then also, if you wanted to get ahead on those, take a look at those readings. Some of the readings that I mentioned today in the Learning by Heart book directly address these kind of visual research strips that we did today. And there's some more language and assignments about kind of like how to work with this material and like, you know, what to look for and how to kind of use it once you get back. So that might actually be helpful to look at too. Sound good?
Brian?
Yes.
It's Shannon. I used up all my paint doing the newsprint. Do we need to get more paint? Are we going to use that to print?
Yes. So, all the paint's gone?
Yeah.
Okay. And it looks like, Jessica, you're nodding your head. All your paint is gone as well? Okay. We may want, I think we're going to want to restock. That my intention was that we would use these little bottles. We would kind of add a medium to them to sort of make them into printing ink. So we're going to want more. You do not have to get the fluid acrylics. I know that those are a little bit on the pricier side, but I will say I think that those will work very well with the like the retarder medium that I had you guys get, and I think you can get those fluid acrylics at Michael's. I know that they stock them at Michael's. Okay. And so if you're within driving distance of a Michael's, there's some there. Because as we know, Dick Blick is like super backed up.
Mm-hmm. And the matte medium also?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the matte medium. One thing I recommend, I have this like really big jar of it right here, is I would go with the fluid, because that's the consistency of the matte medium is going to match the consistency of the paint. And I think that you'll just find it's easier to work with. Yeah. Good question. Thanks for asking. Yeah, Jessica?
I'm trying to think ahead. For like when we're using the stamping and stuff, I noticed that there's not a brayer or anything on the list. Are we using paintbrushes, or how are we doing that part? I'm sorry. That's like so far ahead, but I'm just like, might as well buy it.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so great question. I thought about the brayer, but like even inexpensive brayers they were going to make the cost of the whole materials list jump up, and I was trying to keep it on the cheap. And so what I'm going to have you guys do is essentially add the medium add the retarder to the acrylic paint, and that slows down the drying time a lot. And then with the brush, what you're going to do is basically paint it out flat on the glass. And then you're basically going to take your stamp and stamp it onto the glass as if the glass is an ink pad, and then stamp it onto your paper.
Okay.
Additionally, what you can do is very like lightly and carefully, like that's going to yield one kind of print. You can also paint with the paint like really lightly directly onto the stamp, just using a brush. That's a little bit trickier because you don't want to paint too much, you don't want to paint too little. If your stamp is very detailed and has small cracks, the paint can go inside it, etc. And so that's another way you can actually physically get the ink on the ink that was at one point paint, but we've converted it onto the stamp. I find when you convert acrylic paint into ink and use a brayer, it's still acrylic paint, right? It still wants to dry pretty fast. So it dries on the brayer, and then the brayer is like ruined. So I didn't really want you guys to like go out, buy a brayer that was gonna be for this like one project and like never use it again. So I thought it might be more economical and more effective and less wasteful to actually use alternative means of getting that, the ink on the print, on the stamp rather. It's a bit of an experiment. We're gonna see how it goes. If you have a brayer that you're like okay with using, like in your supplies in your classrooms or in your home studios, 100% go ahead and use it.
Okay.
Okay. Is that helpful?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Okay. I'm glad nobody got in trouble with the grocery store managers, you know. And Jessica, I'm glad you got some sushi. Yeah, totally. I've never been to it.
Any foreign food, I'm on it. So,
Love that. Love that. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting in a second and then start the process of converting the video for today into a YouTube video. The videos are very large, and so I think it's going to be easier to actually put the video on YouTube and then just provide a link. I sent an email to the woman in Hawaii yesterday, and she's been able to watch the videos just fine. So it's almost like she's here, so it's great. But yeah, I'll continue to do that. And if any questions come up between now and tomorrow, don't hesitate to email. Yeah, Jessica.
I know probably people want to leave, but do you still have that slideshow? I would love to see what other people have done with this.
Oh, the patterns. Yes, I do. Yeah. Let me actually just go ahead and put that online, but then I'll also go over that with you guys tomorrow. Anybody else? Okay. All right, I'm going to end the meeting and start the process of converting the videos, but if anyone has any individual questions, definitely go ahead and, actually, Gabrielle, you hang back because I'll talk to you about the grocery store stuff, but I'll stop recording. If anyone has any individual questions, feel free to email me, okay? All right, thanks, guys.
Brian,
Yeah?
just reminding you, tomorrow's the day that I will not be active in class, most likely.
That's right.
I'll catch the video afterwards.
Yeah, that's right, totally. I remember. Okay. Yeah, I'll record it, and you'll have access to it just like all the other ones. Okay. See ya.